Welcome to Four Good Stories, where we each share four good stories that we found in the news headlines this week. My name is Addison.
And I'm Corinne. For Good is proudly brought to you by Hope for Good, a free subscription service supporting families of children with cancer and other critical illnesses through monthly care packages filled with toys and other items catered to the children's likings.
We moved our warehouse all around this week, so we've been reorganizing all the donations and the toys that we've gotten in for Hope for Good. And it's so funny because every time we go through the donations, we find so many cool things.
We're like, how did we not know this was here?
We just have so many awesome things, which is such a blessing because we have 450 kids now that we send a free monthly care package to. So we're really excited. We're going to start the shopping and shipping process here next week.
Yay!
On to the first story. We've got some great stories today, so we're going to dive right in. My first story that I saw was in the United States, the number of pedestrians killed by motorists in the U.S. fell nearly 11% over the first 6 months of 2025 compared to the same period in 2024. Data from the Governor's Highway Safety Association reveals how this was the single largest decline in pedestrian deaths since records began in 2015.
Wow.
The drop in pedestrian deaths from 2024 to 2025 translates into 371 fewer fatalities. So this means 371 friends, family, and loved ones that can still be hugged and cherished due to better safety measures and care around pedestrian safety being implemented in cities around the United States.
Does this mean like motor accidents or people walking on the street and then being hit by?
Yeah, so this would be like people who are walking and are hit by cars, which is a really big problem in the United States. We don't have a lot of the infrastructure like other cities do for pedestrians to walk safely, but every year it gets a little better because there's just more advocacy and there's more ideas to make walking just safer in our communities.
Yeah. Yay. Okay. My next story is about a kitty cat. Her name is Bodhi, and she disappeared 5 years ago. No warning, no clue, just gone. Danielle did everything people do when something like that happens. She walked the neighborhood calling his name, posted online, printed pictures, and asked strangers if they'd seen him. For a long time, every notification made her heart jump, but eventually they just stopped coming. Life moved on its way like it always does, even when you don't want it to. But there was always this quiet question sitting in the background. What happened to her? 5 years later, someone noticed a cat hanging around her place. She wasn't aggressive, just cautious. The kind of cautious that doesn't feel wild, more like she used to belong somewhere. She started feeding him. After a while, she wondered if he did belong somewhere. So she did what most people do now. She went digging online. Local posts, lost pet groups, anything she could find. And somehow, she came across an old post. Years old, very easy to miss. A kitten, same markings, same eyes, and she almost didn't message. It felt like a very long shot, but she did anyway. When Danielle saw the message, she didn't expect much. People had sent, maybe this is your cat, before, but it never was. She then opened the photo, and everything sort of stopped. It didn't make sense. 5 years didn't just disappear. Cats didn't just come back like that, but also it really looked like her. When she finally saw her in person, she was bracing herself for disappointment, for almost but not quite. Instead, she walked up to her, no hesitation, no confusion, just walked up like she knew exactly who she was. That's when she lost it. All those years of not knowing, of wondering if she was okay, if she was even alive, it just hit at once. And she was right there, pressing into her like nothing had changed. It wasn't dramatic, no big moment, just a cat back where she belonged. But somehow that made it even more overwhelming. That night, Bodhi was home again.
That's so crazy.
I know. 5 years that cat was gone.
I think I saw a post one time where someone found their dog 5 years later, and the dog had made it all the way to Kansas City, and they lived in Virginia or something, and they were able to reunite the owner with their dog because of the chip. They scanned the chip, and they were like, oh, they do have an owner. But that's I mean, imagine being able to tell your family and friends that, like, yeah, the cat that I lost 5 years ago, he's here.
Like, I can't even, if I lost Oates, for one, I would be absolutely devastated. And I would probably look for her for like a year. And if I heard nothing, I'd be really sad and let it go. But if she came up to me after 5 years and just acted like, hey, girl, and she just like was rubbing all over me, and like, I cannot imagine the emotion.
Our next story is also kind of about animals, one of our favorite topics, but it's also about something that's going on here at For Good Community.
Mm-hmm.
So, for generations, bags of discarded and unusable clothing have had little hope other than to be sent to landfills. Textile waste has become a growing problem, with 87% of clothing ending up in landfills or being incinerated. The clothing that ends up in landfills can take up to 200 plus years to fully decompose, releasing greenhouse gases and impacting soil and groundwater. Here at For Good Community, we become increasingly aware of this impact on our environment and the future of our families and communities. Problems like this often become inspiration for people who are willing to give it a shot. And now locally at our Henderson, Kentucky warehouse, we are partnering with multiple clothing companies to shred and repurpose unusable clothing and materials into heavy-duty dog beds that are designed to last. Our mission wasn't just to eliminate landfill waste, but to help provide animal shelters with beds crafted uniquely to withstand the wear and tear of dogs in shelters. These dog beds can provide their dogs with comfort without the worry of the beds being destroyed. And again, it would just end up in a landfill if all of these beds were easily destroyed by dogs. This past week, we were able to donate enough recycled dog beds to fill every kennel at Muhlenberg County Animal Shelter. Every dog having a new soft place to rest as they wait to find their forever homes. It's a really neat full circle moment because not only are the clothes getting like their second life as a new product, but they're also becoming a way for all of these animals who are finding their second life as somewhere out there their new homes await them. And we're already working alongside 4 more local shelters with the goal of making sure that every kennel in those shelters has the same opportunity to provide each dog with a bed. But again, this is we're making them here at our warehouse, so it's not a super fast process because we are doing them all with our staff and as quickly as possible, as ethically as possible, and they're all handmade by us here. So we are working hard to make sure all of these shelters have the recycled dog beds.
I took a dog bed home for my sister. She has a pit bull, so he's big, and he likes to play and bounce around. But we recently got my 19-year-old Chihuahua back. And we just have the bed like outside for the dogs to lay on when they need to go pee or whatever. And Leo will just run on that thing and bite it, and it does not rip. These things are durable. But Chip, he's like this big. He'll just like kind of crawl up on it and lay on it, and they're like comfortable. The dogs really do like them, so I'm happy for the Humane Society that got all of them.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. We've been testing them with the shelter here locally, and we've gotten feedback. We've been able to change them and make them into something that's hopefully as indestructible as possible.
Yeah.
You're able to pressure wash them, so I know there's a lot of accidents and things that happen in the shelters, so they should be really sustainable, and the shelter should be able to use them for a long time.
Okay, my second story is about a little 12-year-old girl who became a hero. So Macy had just gotten off the school bus thinking about normal things, she said, like homework, what was for dinner. But then something felt off, and she looked up. Smoke. Not a little, not something you second guess. Thick, dark smoke pouring out of her house. For a split second, she just stood there. Then it hit her. Her brothers were inside. There wasn't really time to think it through, no moment where she weighed options or imagined what could go wrong. She just ran. The closer she got, the worse it looked. The flames had already started tearing through the part of the house, creeping out from the garage and spreading fast. She didn't stop. She ran straight through the front door and started screaming, "Get out, the house is on fire," she said, over and over, louder each time. Inside, one of her brothers was asleep in his room, completely unaware. The other was in the shower, just getting ready for work. He hadn't noticed anything either. If she hadn't shown up right then, they might have not known until it was too late. But they heard her. Somehow, through the noise and the panic, they heard her, and they got out. All three of them made it outside, standing there together as the fire kept eating through the house behind them. What they owned, their rooms, their stuff, almost everything was gone or about to be. But they were alive. Later, people would call her a hero, her family, neighbors, even strangers, and maybe she is. But if you asked her, it probably wouldn't feel like that in the moment. It felt like seeing your house on fire and knowing your brothers were still inside and running in anyway.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna make me cry.
I just, like, she is so brave. Getting off the school bus and, you know, just a little 12-year-old girl and seeing your house on fire and knowing your brothers were inside, and she
you have to act so fast,
yeah, and like,
you know.
she didn't hesitate. She ran right in, saved their lives.
Some, you know, you might think like, oh, I need to go get an adult, like I don't know what to do, but she did not hesitate to make sure that her brothers were okay.
Yeah, she saved them. You're gonna make me cry. I see your eyes watering.
Our next two stories are pretty similar, but it's everywhere, about the Artemis mission. So we wanted to talk a little bit about it because it's just incredible historic moment that has happened here. During NASA's Artemis 2 mission, the crew marked a historic moment in a deeply personal way. As the astronauts traveled farther from Earth than any humans in history, they took time to name newly observed features on the moon. One of those craters they chose to call Carol. The name was a tribute to the late wife of Mission Commander Reed Wiseman. Carol Wiseman passed away from cancer in 2020, and her loss was something the crew carried with them on this mission. While flying near the far side of the moon, Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen spoke to Mission Control, explaining the meaning behind the name. He described Carol as not only Reed's wife, but also the mother of his 2 daughters and someone deeply loved by their astronaut community. The moment was emotional. The crew floating inside their spacecraft shared a hug after making the request. The crater itself, now informally known as Carol, sits near the boundary between the moon's near side and far side, meaning it can occasionally be seen from Earth. The naming isn't official yet. It still needs approval from the International Astronomical Union, the organization responsible for naming features in space. But for the crew, they knew it was clear. In the middle of a mission focused on science and exploration, they made space for a little human moment. I think if you're watching International Astronomical Union, you should name it Carol. If our opinion means anything to you.
I don't even know if you know this about me. I love space. I have been obsessed with space for as long as I can remember. And I kept seeing things about this mission, and one of the first clips I saw was Jeremy, and he has 2 kids, and they're Swifties. Aww. And he wore friendship bracelets in space, and he was doing, like, the fearless hearts to his daughters. Oh, my God, it was so sweet. And then I saw the news about how they named that crater Carol after his late wife, and the song over it was You're Bigger Than the Whole Sky by Taylor Swift. Aww. It was so sad, but so sweet that they all wanted to name that after
When I
Carol.
was reading this story, I just thought, because when I see these missions, I, like, get a sense of panic. And I'm like, gosh, these people are the coolest and bravest people I've ever met. And to kind of honor his wife who bravely fought, you know, the cancer diagnosis and did make it. I just think it's just a really cool story of a family that is strong and brave, and he wants to honor that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should name her Carol, our little moon.
Oh my God, yeah. Carol.
You'll always be here with us.
Yep. Okay. Oh, I can't get it. Okay, there we go.
All right, now for your Artemis story.
Yep, my Artemis story. So, the crew of NASA's Artemis 2 mission has successfully returned to Earth after traveling around the moon, marking a major step forward in human space exploration. The 4 astronauts, Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy, spent about 10 days in space, traveling hundreds of thousands of miles and becoming the first humans to journey that far since the Apollo era. That is insane. Oh my gosh, that's just mind-blowing. Okay. Their return was one of the most critical parts of the mission. As their Orion spacecraft re-entered Earth's atmosphere, it was traveling at extremely high speeds, generating intense heat on the outside of the capsule. During this phase, communication with mission control was temporarily lost, which is expected due to the conditions created by re-entry. After passing through the atmosphere, the spacecraft slowed down and deployed parachutes to stabilize its descent. It then safely splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, where recovery teams were waiting nearby. U.S. Navy divers secured the capsule and the astronauts were helped out shortly after, marking the successful end of the mission. Artemis II is a key part of NASA's broader Artemis program, which aims to return humans to the moon and eventually prepare for missions to Mars. This mission in particular tested the systems needed to safely send astronauts into deep space and bring them back, something that hasn't been done in over 50 years. With a successful splashdown, it brings NASA one step closer to landing astronauts on the moon again in the near future.
A YouTuber I really like, she was able to watch it launch from her backyard because she lives in Florida, I believe.
Yeah.
And I was like, you don't realize how dope that is.
Yeah, I was
to be able to
seeing
watch it from your backyard.
videos of people in airplanes, like flying over, and they could see it going, and then it just disappeared when it left our atmosphere. It's crazy.
And I saw, like, then they were like, yeah, we're just testing to see if we can do this in the future. I wouldn't want to be the test dummy for that. So these people are, just dedicating their lives to helping us further advance the science we have in space, and I think that's so cool.
I'm pretty sure when they got to the backside of the moon, they weren't able to communicate with the people at NASA either, which that is
You'd have to sedate me.
That is terrifying. They are so brave. So brave. Also, why do we want to go to Mars? Anyway, go on with your next story.
Our last two stories we wanted to share today, we usually like to share a story of one of our Hope for Good families, but we both had a favorite story that we wanted to share this week. So we both have some really cool stories that we think that you guys will love. My story is about Luna. She is a 3-year-old little girl in our Hope for Good program and is courageously battling acute lymphoblastic leukemia, also called ALL, a cancer of blood and bone marrow, which, gosh, I would say at least 25% of the kids in our program have.
Yeah.
Luna was diagnosed on February 4th, 2025, which is also known as World Cancer Day. Luna has 2 to 3 years of treatment ahead of her. Her story really inspired me and shone a new light on kind of the why behind our Hope for Good program. Her mother shares a little snippet of Luna's stories with us. She says, "Luna is the strongest and sweetest person I know. Watching her go through the discomfort, pain, lack of privacy, chemo, medicinal side effects, hunger, and yet still overcomes the fear from all of it. So much so that she thanks every nurse and doctor who walks in to treat her. She does this even after they draw blood or give her really gross medicine. She's taught all of us so much about kindness and gratitude through this process." Her mother also shared with us that they are a military family and had already been through so much as a family before their daughter's diagnosis. Because of the Hope for Good program, Luna recently received a Peppa Pig toy, and we'll include a photo, of course, because it's one of her favorite shows. We knew we needed to send it to her in the mail, and it was a small surprise to bring a bit of joy to her and her family. Luna's kindness through the hard times is what inspires programs like ours. Kids like Luna deserve to be seen, loved, and appreciated through their diagnosis, and our program was designed to support and show love through the challenges of a diagnosis that makes life look a little bit different than other kids. We hope that each of Luna's monthly gifts from our program continue to show her that she is seen and that we are rallying behind her as she continues to show kindness and grace through her fight against cancer.
I love these stories.
I know, and we love the families that share them with us because it really helps us see the why behind our program, and every day it seems like we get a new why onto why this is important to us and why it's important to the families that we serve.
Because, like, we're constantly thinking, we're like, we know these toys and gifts are helping these kids, but when we actually get the reassurance from the parents who are physically seeing it, it's very heartwarming. It makes me very happy. So, okay. My last story comes from Natasha, and it's about her daughter, Sienna, who is a stage 4 neuroblastoma survivor. So Natasha wrote, "This program has given my little girl another reason to smile. As a mother to a kid who has gone through so many health challenges and hospital trips, it's amazing to see my sweet angel face every time she gets something from your things in the organization. She spends the day playing or looking at the item that was sent to her. It gives my daughter a day to focus on something that is not medical. These gifts have helped us provide little moments of hope for her. My husband and I also explained to her how an amazing person chose this for her and that she was thought of." Oh, that's so sweet. Okay. Sienna is a little girl that has been through a lot. Organizations like this that provides active love have helped Sienna want to continue with her daily battle with a smile on her face. My family and I feel extremely blessed, and we appreciate everything you guys have done to help us through this journey.
As our program gets bigger and bigger, my prayer, my desire is that with these families, that it never gets lost how much we truly hope that the kids love the program and they love what comes on the step. Through every step, like we were at the stores yesterday just picking out items. A toy aisle has never brought me so much joy, you know. We see items and we think of specific kids.
Yeah.
Even when we have 450 kids, we still know so many of them by name and what they're into and what they're going through and their stories. And we can pinpoint things that we just hope are that they're going to love.
Yeah.
So I just hope that anyone watching or anyone who's actually in our program knows that we do really care about your child, and we are trying to put as much love into this as possible, and we hope that translates to the packages we send.
Okay.
Finally, the best thing is that through our program, Hope for Good, over 400 children with critical illnesses will receive a free care package this month to spread a bit of love to families going through so much. To learn more or donate, visit our website at forgoodcommunity.org/hopeforgood. We also now have an Amazon wish list where we list specific items requested from children's interest in the program. If you'd like to check it out, we'll have it linked below.
Those were this week's 4 good things. Until next time, keep looking for the good, and if you find any, feel free to share any feel-good stories to us at Addison at forgoodcommunity.org for us to share them on the podcast.
If you enjoyed this podcast, click the subscribe button. It really helps. And drop a comment about anything good that's happened to you this week.
Join us again next week to see how the world gets better 1 week at a time.
4 good stories, because the world has more good than we think.